Oh yeah, Paul the Pipe Guy here. Yeah. So I want to do a little smoke together for my son Michael James Gilson, who passed away at the age of 30, 4 years ago. Yeah. And I didn't even realize the date until my good friend Welsh Piper 62 Mark Hill reminded me about it. I really totally forgotten about it. So, yeah. And my son, Michael, you know, passed away from a heroin overdose, fentanyl. And, well, let's start something on fire. I mean, he liked to smoke cigarettes. He would constantly bum cigarettes off me all day long. He'd come up to be like, Dad. And this is exactly how he spoke. Dad, can I have another cigarette? I'd be like, yeah, Michael. You know, that one's for you, Michael. My son, Michael, my beautiful boy, you know. And, yeah. So, thank you, Mark, for reminding me about that. When you have children that have passed on, and I hope none of you ever have to go through it. It's the worst experience that you could ever have in your lifetime. But thanks, Mark, for reminding me of that. And he would have liked a nice glass of bourbon. He would have sat here and drank that with me, smoked a cigarette. And the thing about my son, Michael, he suffered from a bit of mental illness and drug abuse and so forth. And he was clean for like 5 years. And then the instant that he went back to snorting heroin, he died. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I had just had my 9:30 break in the morning. And my phone started blowing up from everyone in my entire family. And I knew something was really wrong because I'd lost a son, a few years prior to that when my son David hung himself back in 2017. And this was February 22nd, 2020. One, I think. Let me check. Yeah, it was. It was 2/22 of 2021, and that's my boy right there. All right, that's Michael. That boy would do anything to please me. He was a good son. And he's not gone. He's gone, but he's in heaven. I saw him there. And you may ask, well, how could you see somebody that has passed on in heaven? I asked God to show me, and God did show me. He showed me where he was. This beautiful boy, all right? Just a beautiful boy. Look at the smile on his face. Just a, and I'll tell you, if the government said that if you know somebody's a drug dealer dealing in fentanyl or heroin or whatever, you have the right to kill them, I would. I would kill those motherfuckers. All right. I'm not bitter or anything like that, but my boy, he's just such a great young man, and even with the disability that he had with mental illness, I mean, if you met him, you'd like him. You would love this guy. He was a good-looking guy, just a great guy, but he had a mental illness and addictions, and so today, my son Michael, I salute you. You made it as long as you could, man. I remember him telling me, he's like, when he was like 25, he's like, I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 27. And fortunately, that didn't happen. We got to enjoy him for a few more years. And one of my favorite things that I used to love to do for him is he'd call me up and, Dad, this is Michael. Yeah, I know it's Michael. What's going on, son? I love you. Where you been? What's going on? I was wondering if you had any bottles or cans that I could pick up and return. So I'd pick those up and return them and get money for cigarettes and so forth, And man, I'll tell you what, my family made me this beautiful picture of him that it stands up above my pipe racks and so forth. And then I had my other son on the other side and my father, who passed away in between. And I didn't realize that today was the day that he passed away 4 years ago. It just slipped my mind. I try to forget about I know I saw where he is, so I've tried not to remember birth dates and death dates. It was a very painful day, and so my phone was blowing up, right after 9:30 break. Oh, my family, I knew, oh man, this is not good. And I had just had a son die 3 years before. Another son died. I've lost two sons. And it was my daughter-in-law. She had finally called me, and she's like, Michael was found unresponsive, not breathing, and so forth. Do you want to come over? I was like, well, how long have the paramedics, are they there? And she's like, yeah. He says, well, how long have they been working on him? She says, a half hour. I said, he's gone. He's just gone. And my body knew it. He was my flesh and blood. And then I got the text 10 minutes later, he's gone. And my body shook like uncontrollably shook. So I went to my plant manager. I said, my son just died. I gotta go. He asked me if I could drive home. Okay, you know. I said, yeah, I'll be okay. I came home and I made a video about it. Yeah. He was my best friend. You know, I'd raised him all those years and so forth, and he really became my best friend. He'd go into manic stages where he would like text horrible things to me. You know, very mean. I'd be on my way home from work, and if I didn't answer, I'd come home and there'd be like 30 text messages, very bad ones, very mean ones from him. But he had an illness, and I know where he is now. So Mark, cheers. I appreciate you reminding me about this date. I didn't remember. Miss that boy. And when it's my turn to go home, I'll see both my boys and my dad again. Okay, that's why I'm not afraid to die, because there's a couple reasons I'm not afraid to die. Not that I'm going to die anytime too soon. You're stuck with me for a while. But when I die, I'll go home to the Lord, because I gave my heart to Jesus. Gave my heart to the Lord. And I'll have a beautiful home that my sons and my father have built for me in heaven. And I'll get to see them again. You know, I feel really bad for people that don't have those beliefs. I have those beliefs, and it frees my life. It frees my spirit. I know the truth, and you should too. So, yeah, in honor of my son, Michael James Gilson, I give you a nice big cheers. And you can have as many cigarettes as you want, son. I love you, son. Over and out.